Matthew 24 verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars, and rumours of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. If you want the peace of Christ, then you should not focus on these political and natural disturbances, but focus on Christ. God told Joshua the same thing. There was war in the time of Joshua. He just became the leader in Israel, and it is normal for that young, innocent man to be anxious. But God told him not to be discouraged. Jesus is telling you the same thing right now, that you should never be discouraged by anything. No matter what happens in this world, no matter what the government does in the country you live in, don't be discouraged. Don't live in fear. Remember that God is still on his throne. Let Jesus order your steps in these last days. I see many Christians go through hard times in their lives, and all they do is blame God for allowing it. Is that the right thing to do? Should we be blaming God, or be remembering his love towards us? God loves, and he will not leave you to suffer. The plans of God for you is not to suffer. You think God has called you into Christ, into the light, so that you can fail? God is not interested in becoming a God to the failures. You are not a failure. You are a winner. The earlier you realize this, the better you know that God loves you. Why don't you start working in the love of God for the world to see the kind of God you serve? God says, I have loved you with an everlasting love. And do you think that he is joking when he said that? God loves you. That is the word of the Lord for you today. The storm may be too much for you. The battle may be too much for you. The challenges may be overwhelming. The world may seem to be going down to you. But God is telling you today that he loves you. God is not bipolar. He doesn't love you one day and then hate you the next day. This is the time to reflect on the love of God. This is the time to think of his love and his goodness. We all know the world hasn't gone through an easy 12 months. At points, as society and as individuals, we have all had hard times at some point. We all have been faced with different challenges. We have had times where we cried. We have had times where we felt like giving up. People may have rejected you. They may have stopped loving you. Some don't want to see your face. Some have even disappointed you. But God's love is everlasting. He said he has loved you with an everlasting love. It has no end. It does not matter where you are coming from, the love of God has no end. You know, God said in Isaiah 43 verse 2 that, when thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flame kindle upon thee. He was saying that out of love. He was assuring you that we have nothing to worry about, because his love will always find us and we will be favored. When everyone is saying everything is hard, when people are experiencing lack, when they are shouting and crying because of sickness, the Lord is telling you, he will be with you. What can make God say this is because of the love he has for us. Jesus said, in this world we will have troubles. Troubles may come, challenges may come, the world may be against us, and we may face the battles of life, and it is impossible that the devil will not come after us. but Jesus has already overcome. You don't have to worry about anything, because the victory is yours. What could have made this possible? It is the love of God. The love of God is what we should never take for granted. We should never say because we are loved by God and then go ahead and dip ourselves into sin. That would be disastrous. You know the devil is out there waiting for us to leave the love of God so that he can capture us, and it will become hard for us to go back to the love of God. This is why we must resist sin. God is love. If you are wondering why God loves you so much, it is simply because God is love, and He just loves you because He is love. Every time you wake up in the morning, the first thing you should think about is the love of God. That thought in your heart will give you confidence in the love of God throughout the day. Are you feeling the love of God in your life? In your career, are you feeling the love of God? In your business, are you feeling the love of God? In every area of your life, are you feeling the love of God? When God says that what you are going through doesn't matter, that He would be there with you, He is saying that even if you are feeling sick, He is there with you. If you are feeling frustrated, or even when someone has disappointed you, He is with you and He loves you. If you have just lost your job and everything seems to be in imbalance, He is telling you that He is always with you. You shouldn't be feeling defeated because of the situation you find yourself in. You should remember the love of God instead. We can't talk about the love of God without talking about you. God loves you, but do you love God? You cannot fool God. You cannot deceive Him. Why should you be going to church because you feel God will give you what you want, but you don't love God? What I mean by you don't love God is you don't obey His commands. If you love God, you will obey His commands. You cannot deceive God by saying you love Him and not acting like you love Him. If you are deceiving people with the word love, you cannot deceive God with it. This is the time for you to change and follow the right path of love.